This election is about the future, not just of your immediate concerns. This is about your children, your grandchildren. Because this country is going to go one of two very different directions, and the bigger concern is not just what should happen if Barack Obama should become president, but think about what he would have if Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and Barack Obama all get together and decide which America we're going to really see. Going out and working is not going to be the same as it is today, because when you get your paycheck, you'll just have to remember that every 2 or 3 hours you're working, you're going to be taking that money and handing it to somebody that decided to stay home and watch ESPN instead of go to work. I'm not sure about you, but I don't think that's a really great idea to build a strong economy. Jack Kemp said it very well. What we reward, we get more of. What we penalize, we get less of. I've raised 3 grown kids. I've trained a few dogs. I can tell you it's the same whether it's raising kids or training dogs. If you reward the behavior, you get more of the behavior. If you consequence the behavior, if you punish it, penalize it, you get less of it. Barack Obama believes that we ought to penalize the people that work, that save, that invest, that take great risk by starting a small business, and think somehow we ought to subsidize the people who don't take those same risks. I guess it would make sense, because he's never run a small business. The man has never signed the front of a paycheck in his life. Small business owners know what it is to sign the front of that check, and they know that when the government reaches in deep into their profit margin, which isn't very deep these days, they've only got one choice, that's laying people off. Ask a small business person, somebody who runs a pizza place, a cleaning service. Ask somebody who's self-employed, a truck driver. Ask Joe the plumber. By the way, I asked Joe the plumber. He was on my show. We did the first primetime interview with Joe. Joe's out pitching footballs with his son out in his yard one Sunday afternoon. Barack Obama decides to pick that neighborhood, come campaigning. My guess is Barack Obama wishes he'd never gone to that neighborhood. And I told Joe the plumber that day, I said, if John McCain wins this election, he's got to appoint you to something, because you're the reason he is back in this game and totally changing the entire discussion. And it's true. Because 4 words came out of Barack Obama's mouth that have caused a lot of Americans to realize what this election is about. And that little phrase, spread the wealth around, I want to make sure you understand what that means. Because spread the wealth around almost sounds like it's talking about taking a few unnecessary dollars out of some very, very rich person that you don't know and never will meet, taking it from them and giving it to somebody who's laying on the street, starving to death. That's not what it means. It's not spreading the wealth around. It is spreading your income around. Now, it's one thing if it's somebody you don't know, but I'm telling you, it's somebody you do know. Have you heard the last few days? Every person talking about Barack Obama's plan, including Barack Obama, keeps coming up with a different figure. It's 250. It's 200. It's 150. It's 100. It sounds like an auction, for heaven's sake. And the sad thing is, we're the ones on the auction block getting sold off if we think that this guy's economic plan is going to change America. Well, honestly, it will change America. But it's going to move us in a direction that this country should never go. And that's backwards. I remember in the mid-'90s, I was a governor when we were reforming welfare in states like mine. And I remember all the liberals howling and screaming, saying, oh, if you take people off welfare, you'll have long soup lines. People will go hungry. People won't be able to survive if they don't have their welfare check. Guess what happened? The economy improved. Unemployment went down, not up. We didn't see soup lines. We saw people standing in line with their own paycheck going to the store rather than with your money to purchase things. Welfare reform did not ruin America. It saved America from economic ruin. Going back to that idea has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We can't afford to take the chance. We know that John McCain has got not only the experience and the common sense, but more importantly, he's got the common conviction that many of us share, that America is a good and wonderful place, but it's good and wonderful because some people have been willing to make the kind of sacrifices out of their own lives as he has. Even when I was on the campaign trail, some would say he was my opponent. He was never my opponent. We both wanted the same job. You may remember, I never said anything unkind about John McCain, in public or in private. In fact, in one of the televised debates, I turned to him and I said, if there's any man on this stage that knows what it means to serve with honor, it's John McCain. Come to think about it, I thought about it. You know, it may be. I was too nice to the guy. I mean, he didn't know. But I take back nothing I said, and the good news is I don't have to unsay anything I've ever said about John McCain. And I can stand here today with a clear conscience and a clean past and saying that the reason I'm standing here today is because the John McCain that I admired, respected, and appreciated is the man that I'm going to be voting for president. And I'm asking every other American to vote for John McCain for president because we need that kind of experience and leadership. Please don't let these national media people tell you that the election is over.
No.
I mean, I understand some folks have already got the cake not only made but cut up and ready to serve. All for Barack Obama. I'd love to see, you know, there's a paper in Nevada that's already printed their front page.
No
Obama wins.
No
Already done it. It's already out there. I'd like to make that the greatest waste of newsprint that ever got put in the paper. Not for 1 minute should we back down or back off. In fact, if anything is turning up the heat. Guys, Florida is critical. What I'm asking you to do is do not let Tuesday night come and go without you having, if it means standing in line, do whatever it takes, go vote.
Yep.
Don't go alone. Get your friends, your relatives, associates from work, get your neighbors to go with you. If they're going to vote for McCain and Sarah Palin, do not let them stay home. Now, here's the thing. If they tell you they're not going to vote for John McCain and Sarah Palin, do not let them out of their house that day. You've got two jobs. One, you go vote. Number two, if they're not going to vote smart, put a nail in their tire, don't let them out of the driveway that day. There's the headline in the Jacksonville paper. Huckabee recommends vandalism. Well, I'm not actually suggesting that. No, the only thing you can do is do what we do in Arkansas. Vote early, vote often. Just get out there and make sure that your vote counts. You know, you think I'm kidding. I come from a state, Pat played football there. He'd probably tell you the same thing. Election day, it's tough stuff, folks. If you don't get the cemetery vote, you don't win the election down there. My hometown, on election day, two guys were out the cemetery taking names off the tombstones so they could vote the folks absentee. One of them came up to a tombstone. He couldn't read it. He said, I can't read that one. His partner said, no, get the name off of it. He said, I told you, it's so weather-worn, it's too old, I can't read it. He said, you go back and get the name off that thing. He said, I told you I can't read it. He said, I'm telling you, go get the name off. I don't care what you have to do to get it. That guy's got as much right to vote as anybody else in this cemetery. Well, folks, I don't know how many dead people Acorn may have registered to vote in various places, but here's what I do know. That every living American that believes that this country is made strong by people earning their bread by the sweat of their brow, every person who believes that every life is important and that we've got a responsibility to uphold the sanctity of every human life, every person who believes that the Second Amendment is vital to keep the First Amendment free and clear, every person who believes that our great country needs to honor our military and respect those who serve this country and serve willingly and honorably to keep us free. Every person who believes that marriage means a man and a woman, it doesn't mean anything else, and it's the way that we not only create the next generation, but how we train our replacements. I'm asking you to remember that John McCain and Sarah Palin understand what your convictions are. They share them, and they will lead in them. And do not let somebody tell you we cannot win this election. That's the craziest thing that could happen to us. Two fellows late one Saturday night were at a little place they shouldn't have been there. It was a little tavern. They looked at their watches way later than they were supposed to be there. First guy looked at his watch. He said, my wife's going to kill me. He jumped up. He started booking it home, and only shortcut he knew was through the cemetery. He's running through that cemetery. It's dark that night. He did not see the freshly dug grave right in front of him. Poor guy tumbled over in it. He clawed, climbed, did everything he could to get out of that grave. He couldn't do it. He sat down over in the corner, decided he'd wait till morning. Somebody'd hear him and get him up. He'd just sleep it off. Another guy in the cemetery, he looked at his watch, knew how much trouble he was in. He jumped up, like the guy before him, he's going to take the shortcut through that cemetery. Like the guy before him, he didn't see that freshly dug grave right in his path. like the guy before him, he fell right down in that grave. He clawed, he climbed, he was doing everything he could to get out of that grave. And he couldn't do it either. He's about ready to just sit down in the corner, go to sleep, wait till the morning, somebody come get him out of there. But about the time he was ready to sit down and go to sleep, suddenly, out of the darkness, a hand reached forth and touched him on the shoulder. And a deep voice said, "Hey man, you can't get out of here." Well, he did. You won't hear some people tell you we cannot win this election. So let's go out there and do it anyway.